There was a man living in Omwak Puife village, a man whose name traveled across farmlands and markets like the sound of a talking drum. His name was Obidike, son of Enna Emeka, bearer of a deeper story than any palm wine tapper could tell. Obidike was not the strongest man in the village, nor the wealthiest, but there was something unusual about him, something heavy, hidden, silent, something that followed him like a shadow with an agenda. He grew up without siblings. His father died mysteriously when he was only 8, and his mother, Nneka, raised him with a kind of love that felt more like fear. The villagers often whispered, Nneka hurunwaya nanya kariaka ayamadu kwesire uhu, meaning Nneka loves her son more than a human heart is supposed to love. But it wasn't love. It was protection, mixed with guilt, mixed with terror. Nneka never allowed him to eat in strangers' houses. She forbade him from sleeping outside. She watched him as if spirits were waiting to snatch him away. Obidike grew into a handsome man, strong shoulders, a calm, respectful voice, a good farmer, a man every woman wanted. But his life carried a stain, one he didn't know he was born into. On this particular night, the wind in Umuopuife moved like a spirit searching for answers. The villagers were already in their huts when the ogeni at the village square began to beat itself. Gaboom, gaboom, gaboom. People rushed out in fear. Torches lit up the night. Children clung to their mothers. Then the sound changed. The metal gong began to cry. Not like a normal sound. It cried like something wounded, like something trapped, like something returning from the past. And then, blood began to drip from the ogeni. Real, thick, red blood. A woman screamed, Ogeni nad beobura. The village gong is bleeding. The elders trembled. The ground vibrated. The village oracle, Dibiaonoha, stormed into the square, his staff shaking in his hands. He shouted, Iheji kuchi henwembu, ewepu goya. The thing we covered long ago has uncovered itself. Villagers froze, children cried, and all eyes turned in one direction, not to the oracle, but to Nneka. She stood at the edge of the square, not moving, not shaking, just watching, like a woman who knew this night would come. Dibiaonoha pointed his staff at her. Mwaya, ihena chuani abiani higi. This woman, the danger chasing us is because of you. Gasps swept through the crowd, but for the first time, Nneka's face cracked. Fear. Deep, ancient fear. Her breathing changed. Her hands trembled as she held the charm on her neck. The oracle roared, Obuni hiwagi Obidike. It is because of your son, Obidike. The entire village erupted. The 6 previous marriages. This wasn't the first time the village had gathered because of Obidike. No. He was the only man in the history of Umuokporefe whose 6 marriages had all ended in strange, unexplainable disasters. Let the ancestors bear witness. The village remembered. Marriage 1. Ogechi. A sweet, respectful girl. On the eve of the marriage, Nneka screamed in her sleep. Obara ga asa ebiebi. Blood will flow endlessly. By morning, Ogechi disappeared without her sandals. Marriage 2. Chiamaka, a beauty. During cooking, she found 3 eagle feathers in her pot, an evil sign. She swore she saw Eneka's shadow inside her window, even though Eneka was not there. She fled at dawn. Marriage 3. Idayeze, lively and bold. During the engagement, she fainted and whispered, "There is a woman here with 2 shadows." Everyone looked at Eneka. Adayeze ended the marriage immediately. Marriage 4. Olive, from another village. She didn't fear Eneka, but when Eneka touched her arm, Olive collapsed with a scream. "Take it off! Something cold is burning inside me." Her family carried her home. Marriage canceled. Marriage 5. Ifunanya. Ifunanya stood up to Eneka boldly. 3 days later, she fell sick, her skin turning black in strange patches. She accused Eneka. The elders intervened. The union died. Marriage 6. Amarachi. Gentle, quiet, pure-hearted. On the vow ceremony, as Obidaike lifted the kola to give her, Eneka began to cry black tears. The shrine lamp went out. The elders panicked. Amarachi fainted. Marriage destroyed. Now on this night, as the Ogame bled, Dibia Onoa shouted, "Any marriage this man attempts again will open the grave of what his mother buried years ago." The wind roared. The trees trembled. Darkness thickened. Then a deep, ancient voice whispered from the shadows, "Neka, we have come for what you owe us." Neka screamed. People scattered. The night swallowed the village. When the world refuses to hide evil. The morning after the strange sighting in the backyard, Umuapuifer village vibrated with life, but something sat heavy in the air, like the smell of rain that refused to fall. Drums echoed from the distant shrine, goats bleated as they were led to market, and the voices of women pounding fufu rose like a chant. Yet inside Nwokike's compound, silence held everyone hostage. Nwokike himself paced the yard restlessly, the hem of his wrapper dragging sand behind him. "Chine kenyere m'aka," he muttered. "God help me." The previous night kept replaying in his mind, the shadow, the footprints, the whisper that sounded like a woman crying under the earth. He had seen many things in his life, but never a cry that came from the soil itself. His mother, Mama Odinakachi, sat on a low wooden stool under the shade of the tall udaro tree. She watched him with narrow eyes that missed nothing. "Nam, stop pacing like a trapped goat," she snapped. "My son, you're disturbing the spirits that guide this compound." Nwokike stopped and stared at her. Before Nwokike could respond, a shrill horn blasted from the center of the village. "Oh, wee! Oh, wee! Oh!" It was the horn of Omabia, the chief messenger of traditions, only sounded when something urgent or spiritual demanded attention. Villagers rushed from their homes, children ran barefoot, excited. Women tied their wrappers and followed. Nwokike and his mother stepped out of their compound to see what was happening. At the village square, standing on a raised stone, was Ijele in Malagu, the tallest and most feared masquerade in Umuapuifer. It was rare, dangerously rare, for Ijele to appear in broad daylight. The crowd dropped to their knees. "Ijele aputala ne hihi, ndimwo aporonjuzu." Ijele has appeared in the daytime. The spirits have demanded secrets. Then the masquerade lifted its long staff and pointed straight at the arriving Nwokike. Gasps erupted. Mama Odinakachi stiffened her. The masquerade's voice boomed, deep and unsettling. A family in this village hides an abomination. Okearu na koro nu uloha. A great taboo is festering in their home. Women covered their mouths. Men shifted nervously. The ground has begun to cry. Alana aqua. Every eye turned to the dust-covered feet of Nwokike. A murmur swept through the crowd. Alakorawora nu loya garaga. The earth cried in his home last night. Obumaka ngunye nke asato. It must be because of the seventh wife. Tufiakwa. Mama Odinakachi stepped in front of her son, her voice cold and commanding. Ijele anamagi muguwa. Ijele, do you not know me? But the masquerade did not lower its staff. Instead, its voice deepened. The seventh wife carries the sign that will expose everything your family buried years ago. Mama Odinakachi's face drained of color. But before anyone could react, a loud cry ripped through the air, a single blood-chilling scream. People turned sharply. From the narrow footpath leading to Nwokike's compound, a young boy ran frantically. Breathing heavily, he pointed back toward the compound. Emere, Obubu, there has been a murder. Somebody is lying on the ground inside your house, and it looks like... He trembled. One of your former wives. The entire village erupted. Women screamed, men surged forward. Mama Odinakachi's fingernails dug into her palm. Nwokike's heart slammed inside his chest. Which wife? He asked, breathless. The boy swallowed, terrified. The third one, Ada Ora the dancer. I think she has returned from the grave. A collective gasp tore through the crowd. Mama Odinakachi's walking stick slipped from her hand. Nwokike's knees weakened. The masquerade pointed its staff again. The dead has risen to demand truth. Prepare yourselves. The abomination has begun.
Onwuru awuakari ekweka elenya nudo. The news of Adara's return spread through Umuopu-Ife like a brush fire in the Harmattan season. Within minutes, the narrow path leading to Nwokike's compound was packed. Men gripping cutlasses, women whispering prayers, elders trying to keep order, children climbing onto stone fences to see. The compound gate stood open. Inside, the air felt too cold for a sunny morning. As Nwokike entered, he stopped dead in his tracks. There she was, Adara, his third wife, the most graceful dancer Umuopu-Ife ever produced, dead for 7 years. Yet there she sat, on the small wooden stool she always used, her head tilted slightly, her long braids falling over her face, her once beautiful brown skin now pale, dusted with cold earth. Her wrapper was the same one she was buried in. Her eyes, half open, lifeless. But her chest rose and fell, slowly, as though she was breathing the air of the living. Chimo! An elderly woman screamed and collapsed. Someone shouted, Adara ularino ahun. Adara has risen from death. Another voice followed, This is the seventh wife's bad luck. Mama Odinakachi pushed through the crowd, fear burning under her skin. She knelt in front of the body and touched Adara's cold knee with trembling fingers. The corpse's head turned, crack, slowly, unnaturally, facing Mama Odinakachi. The villagers scattered like frightened animals. Chimo! Chikwekwena! Mama Odinakachi flinched backward, falling on her elbows. Then, Adara's mouth opened. No breath came out. Just a faint, low hum. A familiar hum. A dancer's warm-up rhythm. The same hum she used before performing at the New Yam Festival, the year she died. Nwokike felt his heart tear inside him. Adara, Obugi. Her lips formed a small movement. Not quite a smile. Not quite anger. A whisper escaped. Ala anagi ebugonye na-ekwu eziokwu. The earth does not harm the one who tells the truth. Then, her lifeless finger rose slowly and pointed straight at Mama Odinakachi. The crowd roared, "Onakwa ha! It is the mother-in-law she wants. The dead is calling for truth." Mama Odinakachi staggered backward, breathing fast. But then, a heavy thud shook the compound. 2 large feet planted on the ground, dust rising around them. It was Ogbuefi Nadume, the most feared wrestler and spiritual warrior in Umuopuife. People parted for him without being told. He carried a calabash painted with red and white stripes. "Everybody back!" His deep voice sounded like thunder rolling down a mountain. "This thing is not ordinary. The dead does not rise except someone calls them. And whoever calls the dead must pay with blood." The villagers gasped. All eyes drifted to Mama Odinakachi. She clutched her wrapper tighter. "Nadume, ogagi ekwe ka unuti muala." But the warrior ignored her. He knelt before Adara, opened the calabash, and sprinkled white chalk powder around her feet. As the chalk touched the ground, Adara's head snapped back violently. A loud, piercing cry escaped from her open mouth, stretching into the air like a spirit tearing free. The earth trembled. The udara tree at the back of the compound rustled, though there was no wind. Women covered their ears. Children cried. Ogbuefi Nadume's voice was steady. "Spirit of Adara, dancer of Umuopuife, if you are called back by humans, show us the chain that holds you." Adara's hand dropped. Slowly, she lifted her wrapper. Underneath it was a thin black rope wrapped around her left ankle, tight like a charm. The villagers gasped again. "Obuntunyera amu!" "It is a resurrection charm. Somebody tied her spirit." But who? Before anyone could guess, Adara's finger lifted again, shaking, trembling, and pointed once more directly at Mama Odinakachi. This time around, her dead voice, cracked and hollow, whispered, 7 wives, 7 secrets, all tied by the mother who refuses to let her son go. Silence. Complete silence. Then pandemonium. Women screamed, men shouted, children fled. Mama Odinakachi staggered backward, her chest rising and falling with panic. "Ha? Umumadu, were ucheunu? You people, use your sense. I did not call any spirit. I only protect my son from evil women." Ogbuefi Nadume lifted the chalk-stained calabash. "Mama Odinakachi, you will explain yourself before the council of elders before sunset. The spirits have spoken." But Mama Odinakachi suddenly turned, grabbed her walking stick, and ran. She sprinted out of the compound like a terrified deer, disappearing down the path that led towards the Sobidin Ogugu forest. The villagers scattered after her, shouting, "Chukwazia! Catch her! She's running to the forest of spirits. A mother-in-law who flees is a mother with something to hide. Nwokike watched her disappear, his heart shaking. Then he turned back to Adara's lifeless but breathing body. Her finger still raised, pointed at him now, as if to say,
Mama Odinakachi ran with a speed no one believed her old bones could manage. Her bare feet slapped against the earth, kicking up dust as she disappeared into the narrow bush path. Her wrapper tangled around her waist, but she didn't stop. Fear pushed her. Fear stronger than shame. Fear stronger than the insults chasing her from the village square. Behind her, villagers shouted, Nweria! Hold her. Don't let her reach Ogbogu Forest. Because everyone in Umopi Fear knew one thing. Whoever enters Ogbogu is choosing the spirits over the people. Nwokike ran behind them, chest heaving, mind spinning. What was his mother running from? What was she hiding? What did Adaora's spirits mean? 7 wives, 7 secrets. His hearts beat louder as they reached the mouth of the forest. The forest waits. Ogbogu Forest stood like a living beast, dark, ancient, breathing. Trees leaned inward, forming an archway like curved ribs of a giant spirit. Red clay pots hung from branches, marking the boundaries no human should cross. Strange feathers tied with black ropes swung gently, though there was no wind. An eerie silence sat at the entrance. Even the birds refused to sing. The villagers stopped. Women covered their heads. Men took a step back. No mortal chases another into Ogbogu unless they want to disappear forever. But then, deep inside the forest, Mama Odinakachi's voice echoed. Agahi mi griot, agahi mi koa, spirits, onunu okumi. She wasn't running anymore. She was calling out. Calling to something. Someone. Nwokike's stomach tightened. Mama, stop! He shouted, stepping toward the entrance. 2 elders grabbed his shoulders. Nwokike igwera miyaka. If you enter there, you will never return whole. But the cries deep inside the forest only grew louder. And then, silence. Total silence. No footsteps, no breath. Nothing. Just a thick, swallowing hush of the forest. Inside Ogbogu, the air shifted around Mama Odinakachi like cold water. She dropped her walking stick and fell to her knees, her breath trembling. Biko bagarami. Please, please forgive me. Her voice cracked. I did what I did to protect my son. I only obeyed your warnings. I never meant for the women to die. The ground beneath her quivered. A shape dropped from a tree. Then another, then 2 more. Dark silhouettes, bending like broken shadows. Eyes glowing deep red. Not human, not fully spirit. Somewhere between. The Ogbanje sentinels of Ogbogu. One stepped closer and whispered, Odinakachi, the one who binds the futures of others, why have you returned? She bowed low, pressing her forehead to the soil. The 7th wife, the sign has shone, the dead have risen, the secret is tearing open. Another sentinel moved, its voice like dry leaves. Did we not tell you, the 7th wife must never stay, that your son's blood carries an ancient mark? Mama Odinakachi trembled. I obeyed. I sent them away. I made sure no wife survived long enough to learn the truth. She dropped her voice to a whisper. Until this one, The seventh one. She is different. The forest shuddered. Branches creaked overhead. The tallest sentinel stepped forward. Your debt, Odinakachi, is 7 souls deep, and 7 shadows cannot be hidden forever. The earth has begun to speak. The dead have begun to stir. Mama Odinakachi grabbed the creature's leg in desperation. What must I do to silence the dead? How do I stop the truth from coming out? The sentinels leaned closer, voices blending like wind in a graveyard. Bring us the 7th wife, before the next full moon, before she uncovers what sleeps inside your son. Mama Odinakachi gasped. My own son? The sentinels replied in unison. Yes, bring the 7th wife, or the darkness he carries will consume the entire village. A cold wind cut through the forest. Mama Odinakachi bowed, sobbing. I will bring her, even if it means tearing down my son's home. I will bring her. The sentinels vanished into the trees. The forest exhaled. Then, something grabbed Mama Odinakachi from behind and hurled her backwards toward the entrance. Villagers screamed as she flew out of the forest and crashed on the ground, dust and leaves swirling around her. She lay trembling, eyes wild. Women rushed back, men stepped forward. Even the elders were terrified. Nwokike knelt beside her. Mama, kidu ihe mere. Mama, what happened? What did you see inside there? She clutched his wrist with desperate strength. Nwokike, gu nwunye gị nke asaa tupu ogbu anyị niile. Nwokike, chase away your 7th wife before she destroys us all. Her voice dropped to a trembling whisper. She must not stay in your house. She must not uncover what sleeps inside you. The villagers gasped. Nwokike froze. What sleeps inside him? What truth? What had his mother been hiding all these years? The storm had begun, and Umuwopuifere was not ready. Midnight in Unmopuifie. This is not a night anyone should sleep. The news of Mama Odinakachi's return from Obogu spread like wildfire. By sunset, fear had already settled over the village like harmattan fog. Women whispered behind closed doors. Men gathered near their obi, refusing to face the night alone. Even the children felt it, something heavy, something crawling in the air. When the moon rose, pale and bruised like an old man's knee, the elders lit the Oku Nsuzu, the secret fire, inside the shrine of Unmopuifie. No one called for the meeting. No one invited the elders. The spirits themselves demanded it. Even the chief priest, Agbaraluzo, arrived sweating despite the cold. He looked at the fire and murmured, Anwu yiyanwu na malitekpo obara ozo. The undying ones have begun to call for blood again. The elders shifted nervously. Is it true? One asked. That Odinakachi saw something inside Obugu. The chief priest nodded slowly. And then he said something that froze the entire gathering. Not something. Someone. Someone we buried over 70 years ago. The elders fell silent. Lightning cracked across a clear sky. The fire flickered blue. And the night opened its ears. Inside Nwokike's hut, the 7th wife, Aneka, lay restless on her raffia mat. Sleep tugged at her eyes, but fear held her body stiff. Every time she drifted off, she felt something watching her, something breathing beside her, something with warm breath but cold intentions. Finally, exhaustion pulled her under. Darkness swallowed her visions, and then, a forest, a shrine, 7 shadows kneeling, a man standing in the middle. She stepped closer. The man turned. It was Nokike, but not the one she knew. This one had 2 faces, 2 sets of eyes, 2 spirits sharing one body. One face kind, soft, human. The other face twisted with ancient markings, scars shaped like crawling snakes across the skin. Her heart slammed against her ribs. "Nokike," she whispered. The human face smiled. The other face snarled. And the voice that came from both mouths at once chilled her marrow. "Ibe buni ye kubo afinisinu. Ibe buni ye kubo afinisinu. Do not search for what sleeps inside me if you value your own soul." She stumbled backward. The dream forest shook violently, branches snapped, footsteps thundered from every direction, coming for her. She turned to run. A hand caught her ankle. Cold, dry, strong. She screamed and woke up panting, drenched in sweat. But the worst part? A footprint, a real footprint, was on the floor beside her mat. Fresh, human, standing exactly where the hand grabbed her in the dream. Her breath hitched. "Nokike, bugika obonyozo. Nokike, bugika obu onyozo." But she was alone. Or at least, she hoped she was.
Across the compound, Nwokike paced in the dark. He couldn't sleep. His mother's warning repeated in his head like a curse. Tupu, agbo anyị niile, before she destroys us all. But why would his 7th wife destroy anyone? What secret was she close to discovering? He sat on the edge of his bamboo bed, rubbing his face with both hands. Then, a sound. A low, sliding whisper beneath his feet. "Shh, shh." He froze. Slowly, he bent and lifted the raffia mat that covered the gap under the bed. Darkness. Thick, still, silent. He leaned lower. "Madunuere ke ibi ebe." Can anyone live inside here? Silence. Then, a breath. Not his. Deep, slow, warm. Something exhaled directly into his face from the darkness. He jolted back, heart racing. "Who is there?" No reply. He grabbed his oil lamp, lit it, and shoved it under the bed. Nothing. Just dust. Silence. But as he pulled the lamp back out, he saw it. On the underside of his bed, a handprint pressed into the bamboo. Smaller than his, but long-fingered and burned black around the edges, as if a spirit made of fire and shadow touched it. His skin crawled. He backed away. "I am not myself tonight." And the shadows on the walls shifted as if they were listening. Back at the shrine, the chief priest knelt suddenly. His eyes rolled white. His body stiffened. The elders gasped as his voice boomed with something that was not human. "The 7th wife must not leave the compound today. She has been marked. And the one who shares his body has awakened." One elder whispered, trembling. "Who awakened?" The priest's head snapped toward them. His voice dropped to a chilling whisper. "Nokike is not alone in his own body." A candle blew out. The shrine shook. A cold wind spiraled around the elders. And then the spirit spoke again through the chief priest. "Look to the old curses. Look to the old sins. The 7th wife will uncover the truth. And when she does, either the village is saved or destroyed."
The fire roared violently. Red, then black, then red again. When the priest collapsed, the message burned in every heart. Something sleeps inside Nokike. Something the seventh wife is destined to awaken. And Ugbugu forest will not wait forever. Night folded over Umuwapwafir like a dark pot turned upside down. The elders rushed toward Nwokike's compound, chanting cleansing prayers. The wind hissed against their words, as if resisting them. Inside the hut, Nwokike knelt, gripping his chest. A voice, deep, ancient, and angry, throbbed from inside him. You kept me buried, but she woke me. Aneka, the seventh wife, stood by the doorway trembling. Tears pooled in her eyes, but she didn't run. She didn't scream. She whispered, "Show me your real face." Nwokike's head bowed, then lifted slowly. A second face stretched across his shadow on the wall. A face scarred by an old curse. A face that belonged to his twin spirit, the one who was buried before his birth. A spirit born of anger, bitterness, and generational sins. Mama Orinokachi bursts into the hut, falling on her knees. "Nwokike, my son, Biko, fight it. I hid the truth to protect you." The ground rumbled. The shadow face growled. "You hid me because you feared me. You sent away 6 wives because you feared she would reveal me." Aneka stepped forward slowly. She placed her palm on Mokike's shoulder. "I am not afraid of your shadow. I only fear the lie." The entire hut froze. Even the wind stopped. The spirit snarled. "Why do you touch him? Why do you not run?" She answered, "Because no shadow can stay where truth stands. If you are part of him, then you must face the light too." For the first time, the spirit hesitated. The chief priest entered, lifting the sacred red feather. He said, "The curse can only break when the heart embraces what it fears instead of hiding it." Mama Orinokachi sobbed loudly. "It was my fault. I hid the truth. I tried to bury the past. I drove away innocent women. Forgive me." Nwokike gasped as if drowning. The spirit inside him roared. But Aneka stepped closer and whispered, "You are not a monster. You are a wounded part of him. Let go." A bright flame burst from the priest's feather. Light filled the hut. The shadow face screamed, then dissolved like smoke in sunlight. Nwokike collapsed forward, breathing heavily, free for the first time. Mama Odinakachi held him tight. Aneka knelt beside him. The priest declared, "It is done. A curse born from fear, cured by truth." The villagers outside shouted in relief as the night finally released its grip. Ogugwu Forest fell silent forever. The 7 shadows never returned. Peace settled on Umu Opuifie.